In a dense forest, the cold weather had begun to make its presence felt. All the animals were busy preparing for the coming harsh weather. The Baya Weaver bird was among them. As she did every year, she had built a beautiful nest to protect herself from the rain and cold, covering it with grass and leaves. Her newborn chicks were snug and warm, comfortably resting under their mother's care. One day suddenly, lightning struck and heavy rain began to pour. The cold increased rapidly, and all the animals rushed to their shelters. The Baya Weaver quickly flew back to her nest to take shelter. She had just settled in when a monkey, shivering from the cold, sought refuge beneath a tree. Seeing the monkey shivering, the Baya Weaver said, "You think you're very clever, so why didn't you build a shelter to protect yourself from the weather?" This made the monkey angry, but he remained silent and tried to protect himself with the leaves of the tree. After a while, the Baya Weaver couldn't help herself and said again, "All summer you wasted your time wandering around lazily. It would have been better if you had built a proper house." The monkey, now furious, retorted, "Stop your nonsense, leave me alone with your worries." The Baya Weaver fell silent, but the rain continued relentlessly and the cold intensified. The poor monkey, drenched, was shivering like a dry leaf. Despite his attempts to shield himself with the tree leaves, he couldn't escape the cold. This sight made the Baya Weaver even more impatient. She said again, "If only you had shown some wisdom and built a house, you wouldn't be in this state." Before the Baya Weaver could finish, the monkey roared, "Be quiet! Listening to your lectures is giving me a headache. Keep your wisdom to yourself and stop trying to act like a philosopher." Once again, the Baya Weaver fell silent. As the rain continued to pour, the monkey was completely drenched and shivering with cold. Still, the Baya Weaver couldn't stop herself and said, "At least learn to build a house now." The monkey, completely enraged, shouted, "I may not know how to build a house, but I certainly know how to destroy one." And saying this, he climbed up the tree, grabbed the Baya Weaver's nest, and destroyed it completely. Now, like the monkey, the Baya Weaver was also homeless, shivering in the cold. Friends, there's a valuable lesson here. If the way we give advice is not appropriate, it becomes unacceptable to the other person. A wise person knows when not to give advice, especially if the other person hasn't asked for it. It's also important to avoid offering guidance unless it's requested, as this can often hurt the person's feelings. Giving advice is an art. If the one offering it is not skilled in this art, even the most accurate and good advice can be unpleasant. When advice is sought, it's important not to show off or hurt the person's ego. Particularly when giving advice to a group, one should choose words and tone carefully, as if handling fragile glass, to avoid damaging someone's pride.